right, thank you for staying with Your World on NTV Kenya this morning. We have been talking about the COVID-19 situation in Kenya and how we can all play a part in ensuring we slow down the rate of infections of COVID-19 in Kenya. But we want to stay on that COVID-19 discussion at this point and talk about the disruption in which it brought in the economy, how the role that technology, of course, played in making sure that we are ensuring business continuity, and how, of course, that very same technology can help us kickstart the recovery of the economy as we continue fighting COVID-19. I have a very interesting panel this morning. Join us to discuss this. But before I tell you who I am with in studio, we have our question of the day for this moment. We ask you, COVID-19 has disrupted traditional business model. How has technology helped you ensure business or work continuity? Please engage us on social media using the hashtag #NewNormal. You could tweet us at NTV Kenya, at Victor Kiprop _. Remember, the question is, COVID-19 has disrupted traditional business models. How has technology helped you ensure business / work continuity? And we will be also posting this conversation on Facebook and Instagram, where you could follow the conversation. And to help us break down the role of technology in ensuring business continuity and ensuring that the society continues functioning even during COVID-19 and even after COVID-19, this morning, I'm joined by a very interesting panel in the studio with me. Kendi Ntwige, she's the country manager for Microsoft Kenya. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Another beautiful lady to my left, Wanja Muridhi, country general manager for Altron Kenya. Welcome to the show. So all of you are generally representing our country representatives for the organizations.
Yes.
Must be wonderful. Joining us virtually, of course, this morning is Catherine Getao. She's the CEO of the country's ICT authority. If you can hear me, welcome to the show, Kate.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Good morning. Of course, they can't respond. I'll respond on their behalf. And Eric Kisaka is the Chief Risk Officer at UOP Old Mutual, the only gentleman other than myself on my panel this morning. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Thank you very much, and good morning.
Asante sana. All right. Kendi, let me just start with you. So we were all moving on with our lives. And then we hear that COVID-19 is in China. And then it's in Kenya. And then everything moved to, a screech to, we call it a screeching to a halt, and nothing could barely move. Talk to us about the disruption that COVID-19 brought to our day-to-day lives.
Thank you for the question, and good morning, viewers. So, like you said, life was normal. We'd wake up, go to our physical engagements, loved them. We are Africans, we love to engage from that aspect. But then COVID happened. And it started to have, we had the first lockdown, we thought it would take a week, a month, then suddenly it was a year, and we are still at it. What then would we need to do? As Microsoft, what we did, immediately we realized that we needed to support productivity. And there was no better time to then take on technology and see how, with the disruption of what was going on, with the disruption of what was our normal back then, trying to create a new normal using technology. And that is how we were able to rise up and respond or assist, knowing that in the first actually 3 months of COVID, we were able to see an uptick of technology that would have been equivalent to 2 years of transformation.
All right. Yeah. And speaking about that uptick of technology, it was the only savior that we had of them at the moment to ensure that the society and the economy continues functioning. But for you as a technology company, did it come to you as a surprise how much technology could do for us?
What's interesting is we've always preached, I've been in this industry for a long time, so we've always preached the need for organizations, individuals, societies, people to take up technology. But we never quite, until last year, we never quite had something that was able to fast track that. So, or show the real value of actually using technology. So we knew, and that's why we were always the advocates of use technology. Technology can help you get ahead. It can help you adopt. But then, of course, COVID helped people see it in reality from their homes, their society, their schools, their institutions, because there was a need for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And maybe to you, Wanja, did it have to take a pandemic?
Yes, it did. I think when I look at our older generation who had not embraced technology, for them now to be able to operate a Zoom meeting, for them to be able to get in front of a laptop, for them to buy smartphones, I think it took drastic measures. So yes, not the best way to land technology, but of course something that needed to be done. And I'm happy that it has worked.
Okay. And let me bring in Kate at this point. Kate, if we were having this conversation a year ago, I'm sure all the four of you would have to be with me in studio. But you're now joining me virtually, maybe from your office and from home. The government is normally seen as, as slow when it comes to accepting and adopting technology, but not during the time of COVID, right?
Thank you, Victor. Obviously, we were not slow, but I think the government should also be given credit for the work that had already been done.
Yeah.
We had the sea cables, initially Teams, but now we have DARE and Africa One and several private sector connecting us to the rest of the world. We have the National Fiber Backbone Infrastructure, already was in place when COVID started with 9,000 kilometers of fiber connecting down to the sub-county level. So, and then we had several skill building programs such as the Digital Literacy Program and the DigiTalent Program, Ajira and others. So those were already in place before COVID.
Yeah.
But I think what has astonished everyone has been the ability of the government to continue doing business by, just as the country manager of Altron has said, quickly acquiring new skills and technologies and using them really to continue business. And then, of course, many agencies have also provided e-government services. We think of Kenya Revenue Authority with their iTax system. We think of the NTSA with Teams. So there were already things in place, but this has really impelled the need to continue providing e-government services and to continue extending the fiber and to continue building the skills of Kenyans.
Okay, but obviously everyone was looking at the government at this point. How important was it to see the government leading the way in starting to hold their meetings virtually, in starting to enable, digital transactions, the issues that we saw with M-Pesa and the Central Bank of Kenya enabling? How important was it in terms of leading the country in this digital transformation to see the government actually leading the way?
Of course, it's critical for Kenyans to see the government leading the way. I think what the pandemic has taught us is the importance of governments, not just the Kenyan government, but governments globally. We've seen how much we rely on the government to provide us clear and swift information, life-saving information. Because although we've mentioned the government meetings and so on, we've also been very dependent on the traditional media for the health updates. We've been dependent on the internet to search for clear information, and we have the Ministry of Health websites and others that have been providing us with information.
Okay.
So it's really important for governments to lead using technology.
And Wanja has been nodding to that point very. Do you want to say something about it?
No, I just think we are advantaged as Kenyans because our government has embraced technology. I think if we look at the way we transitioned, I don't think we had a problem with bandwidth. Our data bundles were sufficient. We were able to communicate. We can't say we went dark at any one point.
And looking at businesses which were, let's say, previously a bit reluctant to take their services online to digital platforms, but we now see, retailers, enabling people to order things online. The gyms went online. Education platforms are even putting more importance to online platforms at this moment. Are we almost saying that this COVID thing was some sort of a perfect storm?
Yes, and ICT industry had to step up. So we had customers who were beginning their digital transformation. We had some who were very advanced. We had some who were starting out. We had others who were not sure whether they wanted to go that way. The whole fear around cloud, the security around it. But this pandemic helped them to make those decisions.
Okay.
So it was very clear in their minds that we need a remote workforce, and not just for the pandemic. We need to secure our systems to make sure that the workers logging in are secure, and we do not lose whether it's data or monetary from hackers, for example.
Okay.
So I think as a country we were really advantaged.
Okay.
I look at myself compared to maybe my counterparts in other countries, and I must say, for us, technology really did help us get through this stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, the other gentleman on my panel this morning, Eric Isaac, is a Chief Risk Officer at UOP, Old Mutual. Eric, virtually every sector of our economy was shaken, or let's say disrupted by this COVID-19. And insurance is one of those sectors where, for you to sell the policies, you have to meet with the person and negotiate, have the negotiations in person, maybe sign the contract in person. Talk to us about the disruption that COVID-19 had on the insurance sector, and maybe how, as other panelists have said, people had to innovate to be able to keep moving.
Thank you very much. So yeah, for a long time, it was believed that insurance requires the personal interaction. You have to meet with either an intermediary or a salesperson to get to understand the product, to sign documents. But that was more or less of a myth, because it's not necessary that you had to do that. But because that has happened for so many years, the insurance industry has been a bit slow in terms of adoption of technology and providing solutions and services online. This is despite the fact that a number of insurance companies have made investments in technology solutions that could enable that. The society also, the market was also a bit slow in terms of accepting to buy products from insurance companies online. However, when the pandemic hit last year, this had to change, and it changed very drastically. For example, for us at UOP Mutual, within a very short time, over 90% of the staff were able to work from home remotely. We were able to contact and service all our customers through digital platforms. Our intermediaries were able to also interact with them and enable them to still interact with their customers in the same value chain formats that we used to do manually, but through digital solutions. So the pandemic, in as much as it came with its drawbacks, for us, I think there was also the upside around fast-tracking the use of solutions that are already in place, and that are creating better efficiency and better value proposition to our customers.
Okay. Has it worked?
Yes, it's worked. The transition has been started a bit slow, but right now it's working, and we're able to deliver services to our customers. We're able to deliver products to our customers, health products particularly, which have been very, very critical during this time. We have solutions like being able to facilitate our customers getting their prescriptions at home. We have telemedicine where you can get consultation online, telecounseling. So all this has really picked up quite well, and we are foreseeing opportunities coming out of this crisis that will enable better penetration of our insurance services, and hence enabling the society to extract more value from the insurance industry.
All right, of course, and I think the general message from all my panelists has been how much technology is important in and has come through for all of us during this period. But there is the problem of moving this conversation forward. We can't wait for COVID-19 to end before the economy recovers. And there is the question of whether technology can actually help us kickstart the recovery even at this point. But that has to be after this very quick short break. Of course, we continue to urge you to be part of this conversation. You could tweet us at NTV Kenya, at Victor Kiprop _ use the hashtag #NewNormal on Twitter. The conversation also takes place on Facebook and Instagram. Later on, we will try to open up our lines and SMS lines in case you want to call it. Don't go anywhere.
It is creating opportunities for a lifetime of happiness. The future is bright because you can always bank on family. Family Bank, with you for life.
Breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Pants is just for me. It really feels very comfy.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
Introducing Ushindi Cream Bar Soap. Ushindi Cream Bar Soap with Oxy Bright removes stains effortlessly and brightens colors. Available in 1 kilogram and 800 gram bars and 175 gram tablets. Also available in all your favorite variants. Ushindi, a quality product from Pwani Oils.
Out of every 100 shillings Kenya raises in ordinary revenue, 48 shillings are spent in servicing the public sector wage bill. This is in breach of the Public Finance Management Act, which provides that both national and county governments should not spend more than 35% of revenue on personal emoluments. The Draft Allowances and Benefits Policy of 2021 seeks to help Kenya trim its public sector wage bill through rationalization of allowances and benefits. NTV will host a live virtual panel of experts on the Nation Leadership Forum on Thursday, 25th March 2021 between 7:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. to unpack more on this draft policy and what it means for Kenya's fiscal management. Nation Leadership Forum. Engaging society, impacting the nation.
Try Panadol Advance for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Advance.
Right, you're still watching Your World on NTV Kenya this morning. We are talking about the disruption that COVID-19 brought in our lives, how much of a solution technology was, and how it can help us, of course, kickstart the economic recovery. At this point, I'm joined by, of course, as I mentioned earlier, my guest, Kendi Ntwige. She's the country manager for Microsoft Kenya. Wanja Muridhi is the country general manager for Altron Kenya. And Catherine Getao, she's the CEO of the ICT Authority, joining us virtually. And also joining us virtually this morning is Eric Kisaka, the Chief Risk Officer at UAP Old Mutual Group. And Kendi, just before we went for the break, we were talking about the importance of having some sort of a digital presence in, for every business. And research shows that actually for most of the companies that survived, that did not die during COVID-19, they had some sort of online presence just before COVID-19.
Yes. You know, what's most interesting, even as you say that, bringing it home, when I think about Nation Media, one of the things that you are quickly able to do is push your online publications. And that kind of response then helps a business stay afloat. If we look at the judiciary, again, as Dr. Kate and also Wanja said, our government being quickly able to embrace. When there was a total lockdown, and of course justice needs to go on, hearings need to continue, the judiciary was very quick to take their hearings and the meetings, all of that online. And we worked with them. It was amazing to see the judges. We are training them on how to go about how everything works, because there is that transition phase of it. So for the businesses that were able to quickly adopt and the technology that allowed them to be online, those are the ones that got into the recovery mode quickly. And then the next phase, which is what now we are seeing, is being able to remain in a place where the strategies have been revised for that to be the continued way of doing the business. Because then we've talked about the new normal. If the new normal has been set, if people are fine now with, I can sit at home and have everything done, I can learn, I can work, my food can be brought, I can shop, like you said earlier, retail, I can get entertainment. We have seen very new entertainers coming up in this period. If that is what now I'm used to as a consumer of a service, if as a business you do not answer to that, then it means you will not survive. So yes, to agree with you, the businesses that are able to quickly adopt, those are the ones that still remain relevant now. And from an individual perspective, those that were the individuals, because a number, we've seen the statistics, a number of individuals and small businesses were affected. Those that were able to reskill and then reimagine and re-strategize, as well where technology is concerned, areas where Microsoft is very invested in, launches we've done in the last few months, engagements we've had, partnerships we've had, then those are also the individuals and small businesses that remain afloat.
Okay, and maybe for Wanja, because you enabled this businesses establish some sort of a digital presence, did you see a spike in terms of businesses that required these services during COVID?
Yeah, so I think for Altron, one of, we have 4 milestones that we work with. So which is cloud, digital transformation and security, plus also our own automation. So we saw a lot of uptake in companies coming to us and wanting to look at their digital journey, where they were. We saw uptake in security as well, with, like I said before, with the remote workforce. Then there was a lot of dangers out there that companies wanted to make sure that those loopholes are closed. And then we also saw companies wanting to automate, come up with their own solutions around retail, around looking for ways to have a social media presence. So as Altron, that's what we have helped our customers to do. And also our own business, which was impacted quite a bit because at one stage it was physical, we had offices, we did not know how to work remotely, but we quickly had to adapt technologies like Microsoft to be able to enable us to work as a company.
Okay, and maybe Kendi, there are those, of course, who were left behind in this, and they were still a bit skeptic about this moving online thing or moving digital thing and whether it will actually work. They are still at that point whether they are considering. Talk to us about the importance of this digital transformation as a tool to move businesses forward.
You said Kate or me?
Oh, sorry, I meant Kendi,
yes,
sorry,
okay,
yeah.
because you're looking at me.
Yeah.
All right. So it is necessary for businesses to move online. Really, if by now a business has not seen that, or a board or an individual, then it would be sad. Why is it necessary? Look at those who are thriving, because the economy is still going on somehow around the world. The good side of what COVID has done is that it's made the world almost a village. Back to, if we look at the young, and I see it, I think one of the winners of the young entertainment is a Kenyan who came up, she's young, I forget her name, but she came up during this COVID period and has won so many awards. Yet she was just able to be there for people to offer some form of entertainment in this period. And she's just an example of how many businesses were created. If you look at if you go to IG, Instagram, and you see how many small businesses are in there, how many deliveries go on. I never used to shop online. I was the ones who would shop maybe twice a year, go to the mall, do what I'm doing, and I'm done. Now, even a personal experience, my default is online. So the businesses that were able to do that and move away from the physical brick and mortar are able to remain sustainable. So if you're still skeptical and you're a small business, reach out to us. We can work with you as Microsoft, even Altron, our partner. They're our partners, so they help us implement some of these things. We can work with you to go through the journey. Most times what people are skeptical about is the security bit, but we have cybersecurity solutions. We don't sell or position products that are not secure. We work that journey so that you also feel the comfort you have of the brick and mortar. You can have that same comfort in an online perspective.
Okay, and definitely we are at that point where we're trying to kickstart the economic recovery, and everyone is wondering, I mean, if you look at the numbers of COVID that we had yesterday, 1,540 people with COVID, and the positivity rate at 15%, it kind of means this COVID thing may not end now. If you look at the vaccination, it could take us up to 2023. So it either means if the economy is going to recover, then it has to do now. Yeah. Talk to us about the role of technology in maybe kickstarting this journey.
So so first is ensuring productivity. I'm still in my I'm in my high school group, and one of us is an entrepreneur. And I read yesterday night. In fact, I've not responded, so I will respond. Don't worry after this bit. So one of us posted and
they're watching on TV.
I know, but that's why I'm saying I will respond. I read it though, and she was saying that she's skeptical. She's embracing that she may need to lock her office again, and that's because she's saying in her area, all her providers are either shivering or going through what seems like COVID symptoms. And I looked at it and I thought, I need to reach out to her and give her practical ways of which we can work together. And the first is really productivity. By productivity is, if I'm supposed to physically show up and do what it is that I'm supposed to do, can I still show up virtually though, just like we have Dr. Kate and Kisaka online and still in this panel? Still show up and be productive in that sense. So once we do the productivity, can we then go to the next step and see how, if there's any process that needs to be built around it, can we then look at what technology can be used? It could be Microsoft, it could be something else, but which can be used to help your process. And some of this would be artificial intelligence, for example, or IoT. Which would, if it's a manufacturing process, because I understand my friend from high school, her process is a bit manual because she manufactures. But can we see how we can simplify that by using some bots which can help do that full from start to finish? So there are journeys, and these journeys, what we're saying is we have companies like Altron and others that we can work with, and we can go deeper to understand your specific bit or what you're trying to deliver, and then work that process bit by bit. The same way we work with government or whoever else.
Okay, let me just bring in Kate at this point. Kate, we're talking about how the fight against COVID-19 could take quite some time, and we're thinking how maybe we can kickstart this recovery at this point. And Kendi has spoken very well about how technology can help us, of course, kickstart this recovery. I don't know, maybe from a government perspective, as the person heading this ICT authority, can this digital transformation journey take off as a way of course, of helping us recover from COVID quicker enough?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I'd like to reassure you that as early as April last year, the government had set up various task forces to think about how to help economic recovery. Economies have taken a huge hit due to COVID, because on the one hand, as Kendi has said, it can affect productivity. It has particularly impacted some sectors more than others. For example, tourism, because international tourism and transport becomes challenging. The government has been having task forces, has been having clever people thinking about these issues from very early on. As I said, even a year past, there were already these discussions going on. And that's why you've seen responses in all these sectors. That doesn't mean we haven't been hurt. Productivity has been hurt, despite the mitigation that has been provided through technology. Of course, without technology, it would have been much, much worse. But you also have to think about efficiency. Why? Because if you're bringing in less money, then you definitely need to lower your cost of doing business. And that is also why the government is very, very concerned about providing e-government services so that businesses can easily access government services. And hopefully we can lower those costs, because everybody is suffering in the pocket.
Okay.
But then we also have to go further than that, because we must exploit any opportunity to even grow our economy and to become more productive, more innovative. So we're working with universities at the ICT Authority to do research and development to ensure that we go into technology manufacturing as quickly as possible so that we protect jobs, and we also begin to grow our economy, because obviously we can't accept an economy that is either stagnant or shrinking.
Okay.
So there's a lot that needs to be done, but we are really working hard on this with the Ministry of ICT and the entire government.
Okay, and you raise a very valid point about then the sectors that were left behind, because if you look at small and medium enterprises, for instance, around the country, there are those who either they do not have the resources to, you know, be part of this journey, and there are those who just lack the basic skills of how do I go about this?
Yes, I think if you look at our Kenyan landscape, many businesses have tended to have a very traditional business model, which has served them well over the years. And they have not really seen themselves in the efficiency space or in the innovation space at all. I just wake up, I do the same thing I've been doing since the 1970s, and generally it's worked. Because while being innovative, Kenyans were also very traditional often in our approaches. It's been amazing to me how quickly people have adjusted their lives, started using e-commerce and so on. But only the companies that have managed to be agile, I think, as can be said, have been able to exploit the ability of Kenyan consumers to quickly change their habits.
Okay.
So we are looking into building skills. We used online learning to train more than 6,000 people last year on these type of skills. But again, I hear you, because the person who takes up that opportunity to do e-learning online may also be the same person who is already innovating and already making their business more agile.
Okay.
So I think we really need to talk together about how do we reach the person who is still very scared of technology, and whose business is shrinking every day due to global pressures such as pandemics, climate change, and other very fast changes that are taking place.
Okay.
And I think the media can really help us here, because many of those people do watch TV and listen to the radio. So please, and even help people to change in small and big ways so that they can continue doing business through these challenges.
Okay. And I'd like to come back to Kendi about the issue of training. But just before that, Kate has raised a very important point about it's not just about moving online. It has to be, it has to meet the needs of your business. And I'd like to pose this one to Eric. Eric, Kate has raised a very important point right there about, because at this point we are all worried that I'm being left behind and going to this digital platform. But you have to have an idea of how it's going to work for you, right?
Yes, so the investments that are being made on digital platforms and online technology, you really have to go back and understand your customer and how your customer will want to interact with you, and how these solutions then will deliver value to them affordably. One of the things with technology is it can create efficiencies, and hence you can translate that to more affordable products to the customers, and that will be attractive to them. But if you do not plan your technology investments well, it could result into higher costs to you, and then you end up providing more expensive solutions to customers. So for us, we look at the customer demographics, we look at what are the trends out there, and so how do we reach out to these customers? How do we engage with our own staff? And then that informs the technology investments we make. And we continuously assess the value proposition the technology is giving to our customers. So today we have quite a lot of flexible solutions being provided from a technology perspective, which allow you ease of switch from one technology to another. And that's something that we really look out for to ensure that if we deploy something, is it working? And we can quickly pick out if it's not working and make a change. Agile has been mentioned, and using the Agile approach is really, really something that we have taken up, because you're able to put out snippets of what you're trying to deliver and see if it's working. And before you get to the end of a delivery of a project, you're able to customize and make tweaks in it to ensure that what you ultimately use to engage with the society, to engage with the market, to engage with the staff, delivers what you intended to achieve.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. And let me come back to you, Kendi, because Kate has raised very valid points about, which I think is the question that I asked about not leaving other people behind, not leaving those who can't afford behind. And this raises the issue of if we are doing enough training and capacity building for either small businesses or individuals to be able to impart these skills to them.
Okay. Thank you for that, Victor. So, for those who are not aware, as Microsoft, we've actually launched a number of initiatives that are targeted directly at SMEs, that's the small businesses, but also individuals. LinkedIn, for example, is a Microsoft company. LinkedIn has a lot of resources in it and trainings that are relevant to the digital, to anyone now. Whether it's interviewing, it's design thinking, it's the agile approach that has been spoken about, whether it's software development, program management, customer service, which would be like a different way of customer service. All of these trainings and skillings are available online. And we are targeting to reach at least 500,000 Kenyans by end of 2023. This is up for the taking. We launched one with DADA, the Stanbic Foundation. And if you're watching, just search online for Global Skilling Initiative, Microsoft, and a lot will come in. That, and we'll also give a link to NTV that you can share with the people that are watching. Because at least, like Kate said, while it may not be online in that sense, but people are watching TV. Mm-hmm. So if we give you that, then use the bundles that you have to improve yourself. Okay. That's one. If I could touch, one of the industries that Dr. Kate talked about that was affected was tourism. And when she was speaking, I thought about the school that my children go to. Usually, before COVID, they always used to have trips. And the trips, of course, because we're in Kenya, they would go maybe to Giraffe Center, they'd go to somewhere, and they'd be very excited. Then COVID happened, and they're starting to do online. And what happened? The school decided we're still going to maintain the trips, but they're going to be virtual trips. And how did that happen? They could now visit different continents because it's virtual. It means you can go anywhere. And I see them so excited. They still pack their snacks, they sit down, they're having their snacks, their juices, their stories, and they do the virtual trip. So again, the agile mind. So the skilling that is available, go online, search for it. Global Skilling Initiative, Microsoft, you will see it. Check under DADA, which is Stanbic Foundation, you will see it there. There are so many access you can have, but then also have the mind shift. See what opportunity does a situation present and go for it. Okay,
and because you've mentioned the DADA, I mean, I'm actually glad this morning that the three of you, yourself, Wanja and Kate, are joining me in a discussion that involves technology, because we also have an issue of, the digital gender divide, where maybe more women access less opportunities in this sector than men. Is this something you're factoring in?
In terms of
training and empowering them.
Yes, of course. It's still March, so it's still the month for women. So yes, we are encouraging girls, women, get out. Who said we can't do some of the things? Mm-hmm. It's just perceptions which really are not true. So yes, we are encouraging women and girls to get out. We have many forums, but just to be clear, for SMEs, we do not discriminate. We don't say just women do it. No, go in, register, take the course.
Okay.
We need everyone for the economy to recover.
Okay. Yeah. And for Wanja, now that we are saying that, this technology is what will guide us and drive us to this recovery that we're hoping we can kickstart now, how do we, either as a blue chip company or a smaller company, place, technology at the middle of my, COVID-19 recovery strategy?
Okay. So there's a lot that you can do. So as an enterprise, of course, then it means that you have budgets, and those budgets will enable you to maybe look at your digital transformation journey and budget long term. For smaller companies, there's a lot of solutions. So I know people look at technology and think it's only for big enterprises. You'll be surprised some of the solutions that Microsoft offers in conjunction with Altron are actually meant for SMEs. They're actually meant for individuals. So when we look at things like Teams, where we want, or where you're able to write your CV, where you're able to create content, they are solutions around Microsoft that are done by Altron that small individuals and small companies can take advantage of at their price point. And that price point gets to a stage where a big company would never have the luxury of those price points that these big organizations are launching into the market. So I can say, look out there. There's a lot of information around the Microsoft site, around our site. Find out where you sit, what you want to do, and then call us. Information is free, and the goodness now everybody is online, so it's easier for you to get a meeting now than it was before, where we had physical meetings. So there's solutions for everyone, I can say.
But there's a challenge of affordability for that small SMEs that we are talking about.
You'll be surprised the programs that Microsoft has put in, and you'll be surprised the price points that are very, very low. If it's education, they almost get their licenses for free. If it's NGOs, if it's people who are working with communities, you find that there's a lot of cost savings that Microsoft has put into these industries, but sometimes people don't take advantage of them, and that is something that I would like both Microsoft and the government to let SMEs, to let community workers to know these programs and these prices exist for them, and to take advantage of technology.
Okay, yeah. But for Kendi, then Kate spoke about the issue. I'm sure if it's Kate or Eric that spoke about the issue of if I'm selling unga and I still sell the same traditional way I used to do, why do I need to do it? And there are those who are a bit skeptic about this, smart economy that we are all thinking about. And there's a need to create some bit of confidence in even small and medium enterprises that, yes, you might be running a small kiosk, but it's actually critical, and it can work for you to maybe to make deliveries online and have a platform where people can search, and order for their things online. Talk to us about the importance of course, creating confidence in the smart economy that we're trying to build.
So like we started before by saying all the products we put out there, at least as Microsoft, they are designed with security in mind. So when as a business, as a kiosk, when you're thinking, am I secure to go online and trade online? From a technology perspective, you are. The hesitation is actually usually in the mind. Human beings sometimes, most times, we just resist change. But if we resist change, and we've seen this, and you see someone else growing just simply from nowhere, just simply because they decided to take advantage of technology, then my challenge to you as a small business, as the kiosk back in the village or somewhere, just offer delivery. And going digital is as simple as even just allowing people to SMS you, and you deliver on your way home, because it could be that, or you just get to a mkono who comes because they've SMS'd you already. They don't have to come to your kiosk, because there's also the social distancing thing. So it doesn't necessarily involve even internet and all of that in terms of just that transition. Simplifying it, looking at how does it work. If it's people who wake up going to the shamba, if that's the routine, where they pass, there's always a path where they pass through. So as a kiosk owner, think about it. When they're coming from their day time in the farm and they're passing your kiosk at around 5, when they're going in the morning, ask them, what can I pack for you? By the time in the evening, they don't even have to stand, or they can even SMS you. They just come, pick and go, or someone goes and delivers. So it's just a mindset, the place to start, in my opinion. After that, then take up the technology, and the technology, like she said, there are many, many initiatives. If you're a for-profit, again, search online. For-profits, education providers, health providers, SMEs, There are so many programs that we have as Microsoft that are here to benefit you. They are open to all Africans, but we are Kenyans. I'm a Kenyan. I want Kenyans to take them up.
Okay.
When we go to see the utilization, please, let Kenya be on the top of it. It's free. Just do it.
Okay, and there's something else you've mentioned about security, which is actually a very important part of this conversation. And Kate would tell you that we celebrate digital transformation, but it also comes at a cost of, cyber security risks. Am I right, Kate?
Yes, you're right, but I really want to emphasize that, security is usually the responsibility of governments. Even in ordinary physical lives, we expect that there'll be a police force, we expect that there'll be a national defense. I don't expect to fight off burglars in my own house. But at the same time, there's part of it which is my responsibility. In Kenya, at least, we put burglar proof. I have a fence. Some of us also have a guard at the gate or a dog to protect us. And we don't expect the government to do that for us. So in terms of cybersecurity, we now have a fairly good legal framework in place through the Computer and Cyber Crimes Bill. So if you're making Kenyans cyber insecure, you need to know that you're committing a crime and you will be brought to book. There are a lot of initiatives at the ICT Authority, at the Communications Authority, to really, first of all, make people aware. And indeed, at the ICT Authority, we have a program right now, which we had a stakeholder forum just this week to address the needs of people living with disabilities and others who are sort of being left out of this. And I don't think we've talked much about this in this engagement, but I hope in the future you will. Okay. Because just as earlier, we didn't used to have ramps going into buildings and so on, and so it was difficult. We don't want the same thing to happen in the cyber realm.
Okay.
So there's the awareness creation, there's the protection that we provide through KE-CERT at the Communications Authority, through the National Cyber Security Command Center, NC3, and also the work done at the ICT Authority. So government is doing its best to do its part, but we also need citizens to choose good products, as Kendi has said, that have inbuilt security. We need companies like Outron, which are able to help in the civil space, to help people secure themselves. And I think there are many SMEs in this space. But I just wanted to quickly say, in line with your earlier discussion, that government is there to create the environment by exposing people to online using e-government. As people are moved to doing their taxes online, as they're moved to doing their transport licensing online, this exposes them to the environment and I hope helps them consider putting their own businesses in the online space. We have the national addressing system so that things like delivery can be referred to delivery as one service that we now need. We are no longer willing to just go to the post box. We want things to be brought to us. So we need an addressing system that makes it easy for things to be safely delivered to the point where they're needed.
Okay.
I want to also say that it's really important that we provide platforms. We saw what Amazon did for SMEs globally by helping them to easily offer their products online. And I think we have shops in Kenya, we have Jumuiya, we have others, and I think they really need to go out now and encourage people to have a very easy way of taking their consumer goods online.
Okay. And just before I let you go on that point of cybersecurity, when we speak about cybersecurity, sometimes we all think it's about being hacked and all that and maybe being robbed, but sometimes it involves even the simplest of, let's say on an individual level, your data being, let's say, harvested in an improper way.
Yes, certainly. Cybersecurity is not just about the big hacks. It can be about losing small amounts of money. It can be about losing your data. And I think getting people to understand that their data is valuable is a very important point. Because, for example, if somebody steals your address book, they can start harassing all your friends and acquaintances, who, of course, would not be very happy to know that the reason why they are getting all these calls or messages is because Catherine was careless with her address book, and therefore their names and other details which are stored on my device. We now have a Data Protection and Privacy Act, and we have a data commissioner and an office that is helping everyone, including SMEs, to see how to secure their own data and other people's data which they are holding. So cybersecurity is important. We are trying our best to continue to create awareness so that people understand what the risks are and also what simple measures they can personally take to protect themselves and others, and also even to understand when you are acting in a criminal fashion, because sometimes young people just think they're playing around online and they don't realize that they're actually committing crimes. So that kind of sensitization is also very important to make the rest of us more comfortable and safer.
Okay. All right. And maybe for the two ladies with me then, for anyone who's still wondering and not sure whether the recovery would be digital, what would you have to say?
It definitely is.
Candy?
I don't know what else would convince a person that the digital is the way to go. It's the way to go for now and for the future.
Okay. And for Eric, for the let's say in the insurance sector, for those services that you have been able to maybe move to digital platforms that initially you wouldn't think twice about doing it, you had never thought about it, and you had never thought it would actually work on these platforms. COVID-19, we might defeat COVID-19 in the few months to come. But is there a chance to look back? Can we afford to still, go back to where we were?
There's no opportunity. There's no chance of looking back because we're seeing the benefits. For the last couple of years, there's been a lot of talk around the need to disrupt the insurance industry. And we've all been looking out for this company or individual within the industry or outside the industry will cause that disruption. Little did we know that it's going to be a pandemic that will cause the disruption. But it's now happening. The digital enablements that have been created have shown great value. The insurance penetration I foresee going to increase tremendously. So there's no looking back.
All right. Thank you, Eric. And of course, ladies, we are really running out of time, and we have to, of course, wind up this discussion that may not be, we may not finish talking, the time we have may not be enough to talk about it. But Kate has also raised a very important point between the partnerships, because this is a role that we can't leave to government, we can't leave to the private sector alone, right, Kendi?
Yes. So what's very interesting about the panel today, as you see, we have both government and the private sector. So we recognize, I think both sides recognize the need for us to collaborate, for the private sector to come in, for government, of course, to have policies, and we like to say government has the machinery to scale. And no one can scale as much as government can. Which reminds me, this month, as we said, is a Women's Month. One of the conversations we had about the whole changing the digital or encouraging the digital drive, we've also realized as Microsoft that we have to start from an early age. And so one of the initiatives we actually took this month was work with the Ministry of Education to have a forum where our high school girls were able to have an exchange program, virtual, with schools in Rwanda and Canada. So we had Microsoft Canada and, of course, Microsoft Kenya bringing all of these parties together. We had girls from Wajir, from Kisumu, as in most of the counties were represented. When I looked at that, I'm like, what is more beautiful than this? Who would have thought that from your high school back there in Wajir or in Kisumu or in wherever, you could actually have an opportunity to interact with your age mates in Canada and vice versa. The Canadians could also have an opportunity to experience Africa, not just from how they read in news. So that's really the role that technology plays. And we must start at an early age. We encourage girls, we encourage boys, we encourage everyone. Take up technology, start early. It's the way to go.
All right. Yeah. Okay, I have to get your closing remarks. And Wanja, she raises a very important point about doubling the efforts to improve ICT and digital literacy skills, not just around, university and all that, but even putting it in our curriculum. But anyway, let's say your closing remarks, talk to us about what the importance of what Kendi has talked about, and just how from the point of empowering businesses, we can move this discussion of using technology to kickstart the recovery of our economy forward.
Okay. So I think for me, we have the tools, we have the machinery, we have government behind us, as Dr. Kate has told us. The youth are already using technology. We all know the youth are one of the biggest users of technology. I think what we just need to do is to make sure that we guide them in the right path. They're using technology that either grows their careers or shows them how to be better citizens, or they get a lot of learning from it. I think the guidance is what really we need to take on, so that we stop having some of these cyberbullying things that we're having with the youth, or content that's not helping us. So I'm not worried about that age group. I think it's just the guidance. When it comes to maybe the older generation, maybe we need to get them more gadgets that are more affordable. We need to get the training lessons that we're talking about. They need to take advantage of what government is doing in the counties to be able to take up technology. So that is what I would say about that particular area.
All right. For Eric, for any business, whether it is insurance or transport or any other sector in our economy, anyone who is still in doubt that technology would disrupt their operations and they are still skeptic about adopting technology, what do you have to say?
Just look at simple examples like I previously used to go and buy my meat from a butchery. And I had to go and see how the meat looks like and say, cut for me a piece from here. And right now, we're getting flyers going around with people saying, look, we're selling all these fine cuts and the pictures look very interesting. And they're coming from far and wide, and their costs are cheaper. So I now order from WhatsApp. I pay by M-Pesa. It's delivered to my house. So the butchery next to my house, if they don't change, they'll run out of business. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
And everybody needs to embrace the change, otherwise they'll be left behind.
All right. And maybe for Kate, as the head of the ICT authority, are you confident, as we are in this studio, that the future is indeed digital?
Of course, it's now being demonstrated. In a way, the pandemic has been good in demonstrating that technology is now essential. Before it was desirable, now it is essential. And I believe that working together, and I think I've had conversations with Kendi, with others during this time, because now it's easier to communicate. I didn't have to drive to NTV in the early hours of the morning.
Yeah.
And now I can communicate with colleagues over the world, around the world, in a very cost-effective way. And I think we need to exploit this because all human beings have been affected. The solutions will come by working together and collaborating together as government, but also as citizens and companies.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for this conversation, and I believe it has shown a lot of hope.
Okay, Kendi, in 10 seconds, for anyone who's still thinking twice, is there any chance to think twice about this?
There is no chance. We are here to empower you as an individual, organization, institution to do more. Just reach out.
When is the time to start the journey?
Now.
All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That has been Wanja Murithi. She's the country manager for Altron on my left, of course. On the other far end of the studio is Kendin Twiga, country manager for Microsoft Kenya. Joining us virtually, Catherine Getao, CEO of the ICT Authority, and also Eric Kisaka, the chief risk officer of ULP Old Mutual Group, helping us break down today's discussion of how we can use technology to kickstart the economic recovery at this time of COVID-19. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the discussion today. We have thoroughly enjoyed your company. We were able to sample part of your feedback earlier, but unfortunately, because of time, of course, my panelists will follow up and review your feedback after this. I've been your host, Victor Kiprop. Don't go anywhere. Other programs are coming up. Keep watching.